live rich, because rich is a way of thinking. Rich is what Jesus spoke against.
Yeah.
When he says, you say you're rich and and have need of nothing, etc.
Right.
He said, I say that you're naked, but living blessed is different, because the moment I say I'm blessed, it infers that it's come from somewhere else. Rich is I'm a self-made man. I did this for myself. Blessed, something or someone has blessed me, is blessing me. So blessing, I feel, is an amazing thing, because out of blessing you can be a blessing. And so much of what we are wanting to accomplish as a church that I encapsulate it. Encourage our people to be blessed. If you're blessed, then you can be a blessing. And I love being in that kind of environment.
I love it. That's the kind of environment I think churches should be. And on that note, it's good. I think you got a quote in your book that struck me loud. You said, if you aim for nothing, you'll hit it every single time. And I love that. I think there's how do you balance?
We're not answering any of these people's questions.
We'll get there. Okay. I came with an agenda. I'm not really interested in the webinar as much as I am my own personal needs. I think, when you say that in the book, when you say, if you aim for nothing, you'll hit it every time. Yeah. I love that, because, again, in my country, I can't speak for everybody, and I saw Steve Gamble on there. Yeah. How are you, sir? I don't know how it is in the UK, but here you have this weird tension of people saying, don't believe for that. Don't believe for everybody to get healed. Don't believe for every church to grow. Don't believe for, and yet you have this vision statement that is so strong and almost puts you on the spot. How do you teach people to balance practical, be real, and then also, like, for instance, our vision statement for our church, the church that I see? What do you say to people who are trying to devise where they're headed, what they believe in, and yet we have this one weird little strand of Christianity that says, why don't you calm your belief down?
Yeah, I'm not sure what your question is, to be honest.
It's in there. How do you balance it? Like, how do you go between practical and reasonable, and then supernatural? Because the church that you see in our vision statement, that's not reasonable.
I think when it comes to vision, it should be totally unreasonable. Vision should make no sense. It should be outrageous. It should be something that you get in your heart. It's not built on any of the wrong premise. In other words, not built on arrogance or pride or any of that, but it's just built on faith in what you believe in God to do. Because my experience is just being right out there with vision. It's amazing how it can become a self-fulfilling prophecy. When it comes to our everyday and the realities, living in the reality, then I feel like, one of the chapters in the book, it talks about the walk and the war. And so
it's a good title.
Our walk is our everyday life. Our war is sort of the battles we fight in the heavenlies. And the Bible says, we war in the spirit, but we don't walk in the spirit, or we walk in the flesh, but we don't war in the flesh. So I love that, because some people, they're so good at the spiritual stuff. They're in the prayer meeting, they're prophesying, they're all good at the spiritual stuff, tithing, giving, being in church on time. But when it comes to the walk, paying their bills, and some of the natural things, remembering to put oil in your car, they're useless. But when you get the walk and the war, then I think, when it comes to vision, we go after that supernaturally. That's the war. And when it comes to living out life, that's the walk. That's helping us to live lives that connect with other people and live real, practical lives. There's a genius scientist whose name is Blaise Pascal from times gone by. And I loved it. He talks about why people shouldn't put their faith 100% in rationale or reason. Yeah. And he says in that quote, he says, the heart has its reasons, which reason itself does not know. Yeah. So think about it, the heart has reasons. In other words, vision. We have reasons. We have things that reason itself, rationale, it just doesn't make sense. I think every Christian should live their life with a degree of what I'm believing for just does not make sense.
That's good. That's good. I think the scientist Selena Gomez said something similar. The heart wants what it wants.
Did she say that?
Yeah.
She's in my home country right now.
Do you want to read some of these?
Is that a song?
It is, yeah. It's a song. There was a good question by, I think, Stephen Higgs. Well, right before that, someone said he's a young entrepreneur and he goes to a big mega church, and it can be tough to find a mentor. Good question. So if you have a lot of young entrepreneurs in there, how do you? It's cool. I think it's cool, Stephen, whoever said that, that you've made the decision to go to a church that's not, you're not intimidated by its size. I think it's a misnomer that if a church is big, you can't get good mentorship. I actually find it to be the opposite. But what would you say to that? How do you find a mentor? I've got an answer. But
well, for a start, I think that people have a wrong idea of mentor.
That's
a lot
exactly
of people
right.
think that, if I'm going to be their mentor, they're going to drive around with me in the car every day, they're going to travel the world.
Trust me, that's not a good thing either, by the way. Anybody wants to drive Brian around,
I'm
change
going
your
to
vision.
sit there for 2 hours speaking into your life. You can have a mentor who's 12,000 miles away, because it's all about putting yourself in under a person preaching and under their teaching, and listen to as much of them and get as much of their spirit. Go to the conferences where they are, go to the services where they are, and you can get mentored from afar.
Totally agree.
So sometimes people have this unrealistic expectation that somebody who's very busy is going to mentor them, but it's unlikely to happen because those persons living a life already that almost makes that impossible.
Yeah, exactly. I often say, like, mentors, I don't get chosen by mentors. I choose my mentors. So if I